speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Good evening, fellow morons, and welcome to this quite regular Thursday night that we typically are having. We've got actually no structure of when we stick an episode out. It's like sometimes it's a Friday if I can be arsed fixing it. Sometimes it's a Tuesday for sticking to our Monday routine. I think it was a Sunday morning that the last one came out on. But they get out right, so we can't complain too much. But how are we all doing tonight?
I'm excited to hear what people have got to say about the movies this week.
Well, the two movies in question that we do have this week are The Lighthouse, starring Rob Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and a classic in The Shining with everybody's favourite Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson. We're going to start off this week by talking about The Lighthouse first, but I do want to just say, guys, we hit 1,000 downloads on the podcast this week.
Yeah.
Well done.
So current figures as of today are 1,011 downloads have happened, with 85 downloads in the last 7 days. So for those that have went in and downloaded and are listening, thank you very much. We had a massive spike during the week of people downloading the podcast. Maybe they were spurred on with the Back to the Future scoring that seemed to cause some controversy on the Instagram account. Can anybody remember roughly what the score was for Back to the Future?
It was bang on what I gave it, which was 2.75. I like it when that happens. It shows that I was right.
Not that you're competitive about it or that. So last week we had Back to the Future scoring a 2.75, bringing it 72nd on our list, and Boys in the Hood at a 3.7, coming in at 32nd. So quite contrasting movies, which will be interesting to see what rolls through with this week. There's been a bit of a chatter in the group chat about the first movie that we're going to talk about today, with people maybe showing their hand a little bit of their thoughts on it. We're going to come to Burnsy first of all, who is going to give us his incredible insight to the movie Lighthouse. And I think you might have been the first one from us all to watch it as well, so let's hope you can remember.
I wasn't the first one to finish it. I had to turn it off and then go back to it. That was how I felt about the movie. I think this is the worst £4 I've ever spent on buying anything in my entire life. I can't think. Somebody might be able to correct me with what worse I could spend £4 on, but it must be up there. I've not even actually got a proper review to say what happened in the film, because to me there was very little of interest throughout it. I don't understand why it was even in this category. It's not to me. It's not even a horror movie. It's never was scared whatsoever. The foghorn at the very start, that just started off the film as it went to go on. It did my boxing. Even
stuff before you go, you put a good voice note in doing an impression of that.
Oh, I sure did.
How did it go?
Well, I couldn't give it justice because I actually had the film on in the background whilst I was doing it, so I had to hit the right notes. But even the language was like, even the lines in that, I actually felt sorry for the actors in it, because it might have made a lot of money and people might like this, but I felt sorry for them watching this because the lines they were given were just boring me to tears as well. I don't have any idea what the point in this film was at all. And I think if I was given two really bad movies, I would have been tempted just to tell you I was taking time off for watching films because of how bad this was. It's like the The best point I can think of in the film, which I did message you, is I think the best part in the film for me was a tune that they had in the credits. That was actually quite catchy. And also because the film was finished, that brought a smile to my face, but I was not smelling any of the, however long this film was. It felt about 4 hours, but it was only maybe about 2 hours watching it.
Well, for those that haven't watched this film that are listening, The Lighthouse is an hour and 49 minutes long. It's about 2 lighthouse keepers that try to maintain their sanity while living on a remote, mysterious New England island in the 1890s.
I was
So
struggling to keep my sanity watching the film, I'll tell you that for now.
So, Joe Burnsy, that's up there with what I expected you were going to say about your thoughts on it. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep it going, come straight to Daniel to get his thoughts to see if they mirror your own.
Firstly, somebody note down the worst £4 I've ever spent as a
Already done.
So, see, the first 5 minutes of this, maybe the first 10 minutes of this, I started pissing myself laughing, thinking about you watching this. Like,
who was actually suggested this to be in the vote?
It was Kyle.
Great. I should have guessed that, to be fair. Based on some of the nonsense you've made us watch.
A lot of big competition to win this vote. I mean, we didn't even get restricted to the platforms. We put in basically the 16 most popular films that we could think of in this quarter. So yeah, I had a smile on my face as I watched it because I knew that Sean and Burnsy would be sitting thinking, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this? The first half hour, I actually shouted to Ella, I said, this film is shite. But then, see, half an hour after that, I was thinking, this is fucking amazing.
I thought you were going to say this is really shite.
No. Like, I found myself getting really drawn into this. My big contrast to what you said, Burnsy, is I thought the actors looked like they were having the fucking greatest time in their lives from an acting point of view. Like, they got to go like balls out, like over the top fucking mental acting. I think Dafoe and Pattinson are really good in this. I mean, it's a bit of a weird film. It's essentially just about two folk, what would happen, two folk getting stranded and going fucking mental. Like, they were there for, so that I was trying to figure out how long they were there. So it was initially 9 months, and then they were meant to get picked up. And then they were there for fucking ages after they missed the boat or whatever. So I'm assuming they were there for like a year and a half, like just two folk. And that guy took to do those fucking chores every fucking day. I thought it was really interesting. We've got 2 movies this week that I kind of like about watching somebody slowly go insane. And I think it leaves you figuring out, are they both mental, or is it actually just Robert Pattinson that's going mental the whole time? Like, is everything just in his head? Is he just a fucking psychopath? He actually murdered that other guy. I don't know, I found it quite interesting. I thought there was quite a lot to try and figure out in the film. Then the ending, I was bitterly disappointed at the end. Like, it kind of, it knocked a wee bit of the shine off for me. So it took me a bit of a journey. I started off hating it, then I sort of started to get what they were doing, and I enjoyed it. I loved all the bits where it was just the two of them and the wee bit where they eat, just where they sit at the table. It started off like so fucking cold between them, and then later on they just had this sort of love-hate relationship where they would just get smashed and then suddenly be dancing about together and fucking screaming and doing fucking weird shit and then fighting, and I don't know. I just found myself really drawn into it. It felt a bit like watching a play. Like, the performances, it was like watching a play. And I think Burnsy and Sean would fucking hate that. But I quite like stuff like that. So for me, I really enjoyed it. It just felt like a bit Willem Dafoe. See that bit where he stands up and he gives a big fucking stupidly long speech about how he was like cursing them because he didn't like his lobster. Like, that was so absurd to me because Robert Pattinson's character wouldn't admit that he liked his dinner sometimes because he wanted a steak. He was fucking trying to curse him, but that went on for ages and ages and ages. That big long bit of fucking the big monologue, and I was like, I bet Willem Dafoe fucking loved doing all this. It's very, very artsy. I can imagine this is in danger of getting a couple of zeros, I think, in here. And I definitely understand why, but I enjoyed this.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to just jump in there and echo very similar to yourself. It was that starting off chuckling because of the messages in the chat about, like, is it going to be all the time? Is it going to be this little square in the middle of the screen? And there was just little bits that I was like, oh, chuckling, very similar, chuckling away at it. But I found myself being very intrigued by this, like watching the slow descent into madness from Rob Pattinson's character, because Willem Dafoe's character seemed to have that already. He was like a really a big arsehole, like a proper bully who spoke utter shit to Rob Pattinson, made him do all the dog work. And then Rob Pattinson's character, you see him like rebelling a little bit, and he slowly gets more and more mental as it goes on. But I was definitely drawn in by how good those two were together in this movie. Like, they were absolutely shit hot. Rob Pattinson, I was well impressed with, because you get this stigma with him about him being the Twilight actor, and he's Edward Cullen and that. And now folk are talking about him a bit as Batman, but I've never really watched any of his films, so I kind of really relate to how, if he's good or not. But this, I thought he was excellent, absolutely excellent. And there was loads of little bits that jumped in where I was a bit confused by it, and I don't know if I still fully understand what happened in this film, and I probably need to watch it again. So
yeah, we should discuss those bits and what we thought they meant. Like, let's go through some of the weird, confusing bits. Do we think that it is real, or is that in his head?
What was that? Sorry, start again.
Mermaid on the beach that screamed at him. Is that or is that in his mental head?
So in his head, it's obviously from the little masturbation doll that he's got, which is weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tugging over a carved wooden figurine.
Was Willem Dafoe actually tagging a sea monster thing up in the light? Or was that also on his head? So was everything in his head, you think it was all about him going mental and Willem Dafoe and nothing weird was going on? Or do you think him killing that seagull cursed him and then all the mental shit was real?
I think it was all in his head. I think it was the deterioration of his mental state over that time. Willem Dafoe looked as if he could fucking sit aside there for the rest of his days. Just keep sending a new fucking bitch every 9 months and he'd be happy.
Was Willem Dafoe killing the people?
I think the folk ended up topping themselves because he was driving them that mental. Or they were going insane being stuck there with him for a period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's, to me, it was quite clear that Pattinson's fabricating a lot of this in his mind, because he is going a bit mental and stir crazy, and he's making stories, isn't he? Like, putting the head off it to a fucking mermaid doll, and then fascinating about seeing one. Is, to me, those bits where, like, I just kind of like, all right, it's part of the film. I wasn't really paying that much attention to it. I was more wanting to see the interaction between they two throughout it. But the scene where he smashes his shit out of that seagull was quality.
Brilliant. That was
fucking quality.
I was amazed by that. I don't know why. I was captivated. I was like, when did it stop? Like,
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is like, I was fascinated with how long he had a built-up frustration. He was told he wasn't allowed to do this. He was told it was like a curse, etc. And then you got Dafoe chipping away at him constantly, and then he just fucking loses it, man. I like, what could you even compare this to? And this time period sort of thing. Like, how much could you get in a comparison to how they were feeling? Would lockdown be something like that, where people are stuck in a house together for weeks and weeks and weeks and months upon end, and you start to go a little bit fucking daft, don't you?
I think if lockdown included, like, going outside in the most horrific weather you've ever seen every single day to do.
You've got to remember, with lockdown, we had access to online pornography, not carved wooden dolls.
But I can't. I would go mental in that scenario. See being stuck somewhere with like no stimulation, just fucking monotonous shite, and then the fear that knowing you cannot go anywhere. That would overtake me, man. Like I would be. There's no chance could I fucking do that. And
The scene where
the ideal thing. And like in history, that must have actually been. Folk must have had to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's people that there's stops on like the way to the North Pole for people who go to the North Pole. There's always got to be at least one person there. So folk that go like 6 months don't see a single person, just like middle of the snow. Mental.
Fuck that. Just to come back to some scenes in the movie, the one bit that had me feeling so much sympathy for Patterson's character was when he was carrying the 2 buckets of shite. And he's carrying them and the weather's horrific and he's got a place where he needs to get rid of them and he just throws them at that point when the wind slightly changes and you just hear the screams and it's exactly how you would react. Like you would fucking, if you've just flung 2 buckets of shite in there and they've just flew right back into your face. Blows my mind on how you would feel on that. But I think we should bring in Sean for some of his thoughts at this point. Because I don't think he's going to be in agreement with us, Daniel.
No, I didn't like it, to the surprise of nobody probably. I didn't really understand what was going on. I'm very similar to Burnsy in this regard. I've wrote down kind of 7 wee points. The first thing, like, they were just, obviously there's the repetitive of them sitting down at their wee table and eating or drinking, and then obviously just the next scene would be them just working around shifting barrels or whatever it is. Like they were sitting just screaming what at each other at the table, and I was just sitting looking at this and I was like, what the fuck is that? This is just so stupid. Like, that was pretty early on. That was in like the first 20 minutes or something, if I remember rightly. The masturbation scene is just fucking vile. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a first for us having to sit through a male masturbation or any masturbation scene.
Do you know what's interesting there, Sean? Is it's a first for us watching it, but it's a third movie that Rob Patterson's been masturbating in. There you go. It's a bit of trivia Hunter may have in his list, but it's a third
No, I don't
movie.
have any chugging trivia this evening.
I would be amazed if they knew that.
So that's just telling you that Rob Patterson's been typecast as a wanker.
Hey.
I thought Willem Dafoe's character would slot perfectly into Pirates of the Caribbean because I didn't understand a word that he was saying at any point. His endless fucking speeches was like poetry or whatever it was just really, really boring. It bored me to tears. I actually watched this in one go because I thought I can't even come back to this because I won't come back to it, so I had to just sit and watch it. But I found myself getting distracted by my white walls in my living room, which was quite a plus. It does actually make me want to go and watch the Lighthouse scenes with Chewing the Fat. Those 3-minute clips are a million times more enjoyable than 119 minutes or whatever it was of this shit. And just to round it off, as I said in the chat, it did just feel like a complete waste of my time watching this. It wasn't even full screen, it was black and white, could hardly make out what was going on because I watched it during the day, so obviously with the daylight shining on the telly, it's quite difficult. So, and I wasn't getting up to shut my curtains or anything because it didn't deserve it. So, genuinely the worst film I've ever seen, and I never ever want to watch or talk about it ever again. So, you're pretty sure you'll know what I'm going to score this piece of shit.
Worst film you've ever seen?
By a fucking million miles.
And that's including things like Zulu Dawn.
Yep.
Yeah. You've declared
a million times worse than anything I've ever.
What about The French Dispatch?
A million times worse. At least it was in colour.
I would go and pay £15 at the cinema to watch The French Dispatch ahead of that.
Genuinely just garbage, utter fucking garbage. And there's people voted for this.
I think I was one of them actually.
This is very popular. So this will get some interesting comments when we stick out these zeros that I can sense coming.
Do you know what they
See,
can do
what-
with their comments? They can shove them up their fucking arse.
I was going to say, John, it's like,
for Instagram.
even when I'm minding your scores comment, I don't actually even feel I can't actually get the effort to even argue with MD about what I'll score this, because it doesn't even deserve an argument. It's just a
Normally,
pile of shit.
I would be kind of like, say, oh, I'll defend myself. I don't care. I generally see if some wee fucking FIFA trading gimp wants to come and comment on my zero. It's a zero, guys, believe it or not, right? But if he wants to come and fucking dig me out for giving a black and white 4x3 film a zero, he can go and fuck himself. It's 2022, for fuck's sake. It should at least be fucking widescreen. Black and white, fine. I understand it adds certain dimensions to the film and it's different. There is no excuse for not having it in widescreen. There's just no excuse.
I felt like they were trying to add to the claustrophobic feel of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Try to draw you in as much as possible.
Also, and one thing that I feel really benefited me is I watch everything with subtitles on. And I think if I didn't have them on, Willem Dafoe would also have made no sense to me. But
I had it in subtitles as well, but it didn't add anything to it.
If anything, it doubled my pain having to read the script while watching the film.
Oh no, I thought Hunter might have enjoyed this.
I know. I deliberately left Hunter out there to come in now, thinking he's going to be bringing it back round for us, Daniel. But Hunter, keep going.
No, I am in the same camp as Bumsy and Sean. This was fucking horrendous viewing. Like, I was not scared to talk to him like Bumsy. Like, I know I joked in the chat the other night, like I'd rather watch this over the Man U Liverpool game again, but I reversed that comment. I'd rather watch like 90 minutes on Tuesday night on loop than watch this again. Oh, it's you see, for the moment it turned on and it was just that still, and I'm there. Like, it was the standing outside the lighthouse that they were getting their photograph taken, which was the same promo shot that was on. I was like, I'm going to fucking hate this. I could just tell it was artsy shite for the one go, and I'm like, no, it's just with it for me. Like, I do appreciate some of the stuff that you have said, that kind of maybe give me an understanding of the plot, maybe why things were done in the film, but no, it was just, to me, it was, if someone said, oh, here's the French Dispatch, but let's make it worse. And that's what, let's try to make it worse and scary at the same time. And that's what, it was absolutely shite, and it's just not for me at all.
Well, we're getting some short, snappy responses on the movie from the people that disliked it, Daniel.
I mean, this is exactly what I thought would happen. It's definitely a fucking Marmite film. Like, I'm not in one of those camps. I think this is one of a lot of the types of people that follow us on Instagram. No offense if you're one of those. Keep following us, please. Like to give stuff like this 5 stars and say it's like groundbreaking and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I get what we're trying to do. It's definitely not a conventional horror movie, which is where I feel like, what category do you put it in though? What really is it? I suppose it's,
you don't put it in any category, so we don't need to watch it. That's what happens with us. You don't put it in any category, so we don't have to spend.
Do you know where this belongs?
Watching it.
And I'm sure I've said this about a film before, but see, when you go to Matalan, right, you go to buy clothes and that. When you're at the checkouts, they've got a DVD bargain fucking bucket next to the checkout. This is where this belongs. Never to be picked up by anybody, because nobody buys DVDs from Matalan. So this belongs in there. It's just rot for fucking eternity.
For me, it would be one of the time. Remember the time capsules you done at primary school? Like, oh, we'll dig this up in whatever year we did no longer give it to school. And one of them in the ground, like with fucking Willem Dafoe's character, is never to be seen again. That's what this film should be.
I just want to make it clear before we move on that I would never buy anything from Matalan.
Hey, listen, the designer Matt Allen is a good designer.
Mm-hmm.
I've just jumped onto Rotten Tomatoes, guys, just to get a wee idea of what that is in there, because you normally get good contrast in here as well. So it's got a 90% fresh from the critics and 72% from the audience, which comes in line a bit with IMDb. IMDb's got this up in the 7s, 7.4 out of 10 for this is. But there was just a couple of little critic responses on Rotten Tomatoes about what they're saying for this. So one's put, the Lighthouse may be challenging, it may even be off-putting, but it's gutsy, accomplished, and the kind of movie that sears into your memory. So
See, if you wanted to create like a piece of art, just fucking paint a picture.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for this. Like, genuinely, this it's an artsy, fartsy thing. It's just somebody who's, I hate saying it, but like, it just feels pure made for critics and all that. I really hate this film. I really hate it. Just draw a picture next time, pal. Save us all the fucking effort having to sit through it.
At least make colour in though, but then what, the black and white pish.
I do feel like this is something that I would imagine you would buy tickets to go and sit at a theatre and watch. Not like a cinema, but like, I don't know. It feels more like something like that, like Sean says. It is more of like an artsy thing than like, it's not a conventional movie, is it?
No.
It's not different. And it's going to be for you or not. And I expected folk to hate this, but worst ever, it's funny. Worst ever, so funny.
Well, the London Evening Standard has got it. The Lighthouse is a pressure cooker and a stone cold masterpiece.
Oh, that's some top sourcing there from the London Evening Standard.
Well, I think we should come to Hunter for some thoughtful trivia on the Lighthouse.
Right, so funnily enough, I did say there would be no chugging related to trivia, but there is one here. I'll keep it for the end though. So first of all, Willem Dafoe learned how to knit for his role. When asked to describe the film, the writer and director Rob Eggers has said in every interview, nothing good can happen when two men are trapped in a giant phallus, and he wasn't fucking wrong.
A giant phallus? Well, especially if one guy's going to be farting the whole time.
No seagulls were harmed in the making of this movie, thankfully. So the scene where Patterson gets shit on his face was apparently inspired from The Big Lebowski. And as I said, here's your one note of chugging related trivia. So the mermaid carving that Patterson has a tug over was actually auctioned to help a food bank in New York City during the pandemic. It sold for over $110,000.
I mean, that's a lovely cause, but who the fuck's buying that? And
Exactly. I'd imagine the semen stains were still on it, so maybe that's why it went for so much.
It's not even that. Like, imagine having your pals in for dinner and say, "Oh, I'll look at this amazing bit of film memorabilia I've got," and they bring out this ornament, and then they'll be part, "What's that?" This is the very ornament that Robert Pattinson had a wank over.
It's a talking point.
But imagine that, like, oh, I don't think I've seen the film, or then he makes them fucking sit and enjoy it for doing 49 minutes, totally killing the vibe.
The fun thing about the masturbation scene was, like, there was one early on, and I was thinking, oh, it's an artsy film. They've got him wanking for a wee bit. But then later on, there's like a 2.5 minute long masturbation scene with him, like, fantasizing about, he's trying really hard to think about the fucking mermaid and shagging the mermaid, but he keeps flashing back to killing a guy with a log. Weird movie, like, I like weird movies.
To come back at the movie for a second, did any of you think they were going to have a full homosexual relationship?
Oh, aye, they definitely banged, like, they definitely banged.
Because you have the bit where they did the Marty McFly and his mum bit where they like leaned in for a kiss.
I mean, you're not doing the Cotton Eye Joe dance with somebody after 4 bottles of gin and no bagging them at the end of the night.
I'm gonna remember that, Hunter, next time we're on a night out. If I see your ear, I'm coming up towards me. I'm gonna take it. Yeah, I genuinely thought the movie was going to go right down that way, like into a full like a thing between them before there then becomes a murder in it, which is just assumed the way it was going with it being in the horror section. Cool. Oh, I can sense the feeling, guys, that you really want to move on from this movie. So let's get some scores on the doors. We will just come to our zeros first of all. Sean, is that a 0?
Yep.
Lindsay?
Unless I can go lower, then yeah.
And then I'm going to hold it a little bit of hope that it's going to be over a 0. We'll come to Hunter.
That's a generous 0 from me.
Oh, fuck.
This is going to be easy to respond this week for me.
Well, I'm going to shoot in and say I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Holy shit.
I am actually also going to give it a 3.5. This might be the biggest contrast we've ever had.
Look at the rage in Burns' face.
That's mental. You think of that? That I would.
I cannot believe that this is coming at a 1.4. That is stinking.
Sorry, Hunter, what were you saying there?
No, I totally removed the R3 zeros. I was like, how are you giving that? I done the 3.5. I didn't get a divide by 2. It's 3.5. I thought this was coming at a 3.5. I totally forgot there were zeros.
Well, I just gonna. So the movie comes in at 110 on our list. It joins on 1.4, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. It is above another horror movie, which I can't pronounce. It's Hereditary, isn't it, Daniel? It's Hunter. You can let Laura know it's above Point Break.
I would actually watch Point Break. That's very harsh on Point Break, in my opinion.
And above some other classic movies that we've watched, like National Treasure, Fear and Loathing, etc. Just to give you an insight, guys, we've got 121 movies currently on the list. And like I said, this is going to come in at 110. So plenty of movies down below it, guys, that these have scored higher than zeros.
Well, we have that. It's just you two idiots that have.
Can you feel the sieve in this one?
No, big point on Instagram to the people that comment that that's the whole point. We all like different stuff. That's all right. Hey, Sean. You've muted yourself.
Absolutely. Sorry, I've just been handed up cheeseburger.
Or as Yuri Brower would call it, a hamburger with cheese.
Oh, he's doing it right.
Everybody likes different stuff. That's what makes the world go round.
Mm-hmm. Sean likes cheeseburgers. Pausa likes hamburgers with cheese. These are just
we could go down the whole McDonald's cheeseburger and steak conversation again.
Nah.
Let's leave that for the archives. Let's move on to The Shining, the absolute masterpiece that is The Shining. Out in 1980, a 2-hour and 26-minute long movie, in IMDb's 61 on IMDb's top list. A family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter where a sinister presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific forebodings from both past and future. Like we said, starring Jack Nicholson and everybody's favourite Shelley Duvall. Bonzi, we're going to come to you first again.
Can I just ask before he starts? Why was it not 2.5 hours long when I watched it?
What?
It wasn't 2.5 hours long.
It was 2 for me.
But it says 2
I
hours.
thought that too. Like mine said 2.5 hours. The one version I watched after it finished early.
It was only 2 hours long.
Well, what we'll do is we'll find the extra 30 minutes for you, Sean, at some point, and you can watch that as well.
I don't know if it's
the
down
same
your...
film.
I don't know if it's
the same
down your
Amazon
cover,
account.
but I think when I was reading something, it did say something about how the European or UK version was different to the American one, so I don't know if maybe it's something to do with that. But I didn't read the differences, so I can't help you. But it might be something to do with how there's a different kind of... there's a couple of different versions, but we've all watched the same one. So.
I don't know if it's maybe against... I've no bit to do this with trivia, but I did read when I was doing my research that from the original first release, I think after a week there was a scene cut after that. So I don't know if everything's maybe up against that, so it could be all be that taking the actual finishing time down.
Well, like we say, thankfully we all watched the same one, so let's get Burns' thoughts on that.
Before, by the way, first time viewing.
Mm-hmm.
First time viewing, Bunsey.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was quite lucky that this was actually far superior to the first film that we had to watch, because, as I say, I think I would have just told you I was giving up for a wee while if it wasn't as bad as that. I didn't find it particularly scary. Like I was expected to go in it because obviously it was under the horror category to be weird at points of it, but I think it was more they did a really good job of building up tension through the music was quite constant throughout it. So although that impacted you, it never really came to much, I didn't think, for me. I thought Jack Nicholson was terrific, and although Shelley Duvall's character didn't say that much, I didn't think, when she was on screen, but it was more her reactions were really believable. I thought her character was really good as well. The beginning of the film, even though like the manager says that the previous caretaker killed his family, it was weird how it just came across to everyone quite normal, that there was still nothing going on with the hotel. It wasn't as if Jack or the manager really thought much of it. It was just a random thing that happened, and not to care two hoots about it. I think the film illustrated Jack's changing behaviour quite well, because sometimes you could watch a film and then the character just changes instantly and it doesn't really lend itself to the story. But he sort of showed his mind changing as the film progressed. I think the film with Jack in the room with a female ghost, I don't know about you, but I don't know, was that meant to be scary? Or like, I just found it that bad that it was actually funny.
Oh, you were in your chariot at that point.
He was getting off with the lassie.
But it was just that, no, when he turns around and you see her, it's obviously this old woman, I thought it was that ridiculous. It didn't really scare me or that. It was more just I was thinking, this is just over the top.
I mean, it might seem that way now, but in 1980 in a cinema, that might have been scary, obviously, when the surrounding with the music changing and everything went about that as well. It might have been, but you're right, now it hasn't aged to the same effect, maybe.
Yeah, I was just interested to see when I was going through to see what your thoughts on that was.
Without sounding too much like a wanker, that scene's supposed to symbolise the hotel luring him in. So, like, being a young, attractive woman, like, tempt him in as it's overtakes him, and then it reveals itself for what it actually is, which is like a corpse.
Mm-hmm. I think it was more that I wasn't finding, like, it was weird. I wasn't finding it really disgusting. I was just thinking, oh my God. I was actually laughing. I was like, this over the top and that random disgusting and more than anything else. But the ghosts becoming more frequent throughout, I thought was good as well. And then obviously them trying to possess Jack, etc. The other thing I find a bit silly was that when his wife has got the bat at the stairs, just swinging it to side to side. I don't know why I'm doing signals when everybody's going to be listening to my podcast, but she was swinging it, but she wasn't getting anywhere near him. It's like, if you're wanting to hit him, then go and maybe actually make an attempt to try and whack him over the head with it until obviously he sort of stumbles and then she manages to.
But do you think she's trying to hit him or she's just trying to keep him away from her?
But she was the way impression I was getting with how she was looking, she was shitting herself. So if you're that worried, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, if I keep him 5 yards away from me, everyone will be all right. You'd be thinking, I need to actually do something to stop him.
I think that's a very good hindsight way of thinking for it. Like, in that scenario, her fight or flight's kicking in and she wants to fly. She wants to protect herself and not have someone hurt her. So she's creating a barrier between her and him. I know it looks ridiculous and it's easy to sit and say, I'd do this, I'd do that, I'd do that. And I just think she's just created a scenario where she can keep him at an arm's length from her and he can't harm her if she keeps doing the swinging motion that you were so kindly showing us on a podcast.
Also, I don't think our character is particularly physically capable. I mean, like, the type of, we all know people like that, that if you gave them any sort of sporting equipment, they wouldn't know how to hold it. That's what she looks like. She looks like she's never had the swinging stick in her life.
I think that actually whacked him over 10 seconds later, though.
I mean, instinctively managed to get swing, but.
I'd also the other. I'm actually saying as if I didn't enjoy this with the thing we're coming out of, but when I think it's Halloran, the guy's name is, comes back to sort of rescue them. He's obviously really worried at what's going on. And he has an idea of what's happening at the hotel. But he comes in unarmed. You think he would have something with him to protect himself. He just comes in He's obviously thinking that something's really bad's happened to this family, so he just thinks, I'll just stroll in, I'll sort things out, which was a bit bizarre, but not that he would have been able to do much when he obviously gets killed quite instantly. And I thought the maze was quite good, an ending with it. You kind of had an idea of how, obviously, as I said, it's the first time for me to watch. You kind of knew what was going to happen, I thought, because they'd obviously been down that route before with his mother and the wee boy, that they did get lost and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of knew he would have some, that was where it was going to lead to. He was going to escape, etc. But it was probably well thought out in terms of referring back to something that happened earlier in the film. But overall, I thought it was it wasn't what I expected, because I don't know what category you put it under. It's obviously just a sort of light horror, if that makes sense. There wasn't really any massively scary points for that for me at all. But as a film in general, I did think it was pretty good.
Fair play. Pretty good. I mean, I'm all over this film, and it's funny because I'm trying to think of the scenes that are missed on there and what's been cut out, because I remember the ending being a much longer going through the maze, and there's a lot more things that jump in and out throughout that we can maybe watch another time or an extended version, which I'll not go into. This is absolutely amazing, this film. Jack Nicholson is absolutely brilliant in it. You proper believe his descent into madness the whole way through it. For me, the wee boy is absolutely terrifying. The wee boy just scares the utter shit out of me. So I purposely watched this in the morning because I knew. It's funny when you go back to watch a film that scares you shitless that you're going to watch it again. Like, you choose to watch it during the day. I knew that the music plays such a big part. The music's like a character in this film. It's like it proper draws you in. And what gets me more in horror films is that tension getting built of something might happen. Taking the scenes where the wee Danny is just constantly saying "red drum" when his mum's lying in bed and he's got a knife in his hand. Like try to think of the like being in that scenario. Like, I've had scenarios where Poppy sleepwalks quite a lot, so she used to come into the room, and I've been lying sleeping, arm hanging out the bed, and she just grabs it because she's sleepwalking. She's came into my room, and it's like 3 a.m, and she's just fucking stone cold hands has grabbed me. Absolutely shit myself. But we've had times as well where we give scenarios of creepy kids. We had another scenario where Caden had came into our room really, really late. I want to say again 2, 3, 4 in the morning. He was feeling unwell, but what he'd done is he creeped really quietly and really like not wanting to wake anybody up, leaned right into Sarah's face while she's sleeping, and whispered to her that he was feeling sick. So you can imagine she's fucking screamed. I've jumped up screaming, and then he's screaming because this whole scenario's here. So it is, to me, it's a proper creepy thing to happen when he's wrote Red Drum and he gets louder and louder and louder and louder. It's obviously something's taken over his body. But there's so many things where the facial expressions of little Danny when he's going through his wee episodes, where he's seeing the twins and he's like knowing something's going to happen. For me, it's like one of those like goosebumps moment. The hairs are standing up on me because it's scary. Because these are all supernatural things that you either believe in or you don't. But thinking of putting yourself into that scenario and seeing or feeling that, it'd be really hard to explain. Sorry, I'm rambling on there. I'm going to bring Daniel in for his thoughts.
You used the word earlier on when you sort of introduced this. This is a masterpiece. Like, this is the defining movie in this genre for me. Like, I think this is one of the greatest films ever made, and I absolutely love this movie. There's just so many you can watch. I've seen this film about 10 times, and there's still things. So I didn't notice until about the 6th or 7th time I watched this. That see within scenes, the furniture changes within the hotel. So like within the same space of time, a scene will cut from one to another and then back, and furniture's moved, or it's completely different. So, like, in Jack's typewriter changes, there's two different typewriters in this. And again, I didn't notice that until like one of the multiple times I watched this. This movie's got so much in it to like Burns said, there was a few questions you had and stuff like that, and a few things like you're like, oh, like this and that. I bet you could go and watch this again and have completely different questions and notice completely different things.
No, I think I would enjoy it if I watched it a second time. It's not one that I would say that you're not going to either. There is stuff I know I didn't pick up from watching it as well, so it did a good job of that, making you sort of think through it.
Aye, I mean, I think this is probably the most analysed film that's ever been. Like, see if you Google this, there's so many like articles, conspiracy theories, like so much about how this was written, how much he changed for the book, how much Stephen King hates this film.
Yeah,
differences for the book, but Stanley Kubrick's a genius, and what he's done is stripped away. I mean, and he said himself he loved the book. I mean, it's not that he didn't like the book, but he stripped away all the stuff that stopped it from being a good film, and that's why it's amazing. So, like, there's loads and loads of stuff. You get all the background story about Jack, and like you find that you get loads of stuff about it before they get there, and all that sort of stuff. But you don't need it, and that's what makes it such a good film. It leaves so much just open. It's like, here's a family. They've gone to a hotel, and look at this is the shit that's fucking happening. It's I love everything about it. It's even just the opening scene. I actually went to. They did a special showing of this at the Glasgow Film Theatre. I went to see it there. Amazing, man. Loved it. And see, even just that opening scene, we'll never get sick of that. Because Kyle made a point of the music sort of being a character in this. That opening scene is just some beautiful scenery and like amazing camera work. I mean, that's all it is, for like going to a beautiful building. But the music over the top of it sort of lets you know early on, like, this is a bad place, we're going somewhere bad. And there's like little things as well, like I didn't notice until years later that, like, see when the famous scene, like, here's Johnny and he's breaking through the door. See when she screams, the music jumps as well, like the screech comes with music at the exact same time. So it makes it seem like a huge scream in your mind, like a terrifying thing. But people screamed a little bit. It's the music that's doing most of it. Still waiting out of the way. I could probably talk about this for ages, so
just to jump in, you talked about that scene where the here's Johnny, obviously, is the most famous scene that comes from this movie, and it's obviously in this world where everything's a parody and a meme and stuff. You've seen this a million times, but picture being in 1980 in the flicks, the talkies at the time, and seeing this scene for the first time, with the adrenaline that this movie's created in that environment where you're no distracted with your phones and it being daylight and stuff like that. I just think it'd be absolutely terrifying.
Oh, I love it so much. I love this film so much. Like, the camera's always moving a little bit, which again, everything to this idea that the hotel's essentially fucking alive and it's like slowly possessing him. And like, there's loads of stuff like you very, very rarely see Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall on the same screen. Even when they're in dialogue with each other, they'll cut away or they'll be at opposite ends of a room. And it's like all designed to show him like isolating himself and going mental. And I would say as well, it's probably the best child acting performance of all time. The wee guy's great. One of the two big key differences between this and the book is, one, Danny's like wee pal Tony, that's his finger. And that's like an actual like being, like a physical sort of thing that he goes about and goes on like adventures with him and his dreams and all that sort of shit. That's like a whole fucking thing. So that would have made this movie shite. I mean, it's good in it makes the book good, but this movie would have lost all its sort of excitement and all the anticipation if you were going on these magical journeys with fucking stuff. It leaves everything just ambiguous enough. It doesn't give you any backstory to any of the characters. You just know that they're associated with that hotel in a negative way and bad stuff's happened. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of movies make the mistake of they would have told you all about who the lady in the bath was and how she died, and somebody would have found something that was evidence of like, oh, look at all these ancient murders that happened, and figuring it out. That's what makes modern horror films shite and makes this amazing. It just, I don't know. I love it. I'll move on to Sean.
Yeah, Sean, let's bring it to you.
So this was my first time watching this as well. It's one of those films, and again, I think I've said this about other films as well that I hadn't seen, that you hear so much about, and it's amazing, it's brilliant, it's a masterpiece, all of that stuff. I thought it was utter shite.
Fuck's sake. What a week you've had, Sean.
I'm only joking.
But honestly, I've sunk into my chair raging.
I really wish that like everybody's guilty of it. I've done it before as well with films and TV programs about saying you need to watch this. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Just nobody should ever say that again about any film or TV program, because it's always it just never meets the expectations of what you think it's going to be. Like, this was brilliant, but I was just expecting to be totally blown away. But it's just I don't quite reach that level because everybody's told me how fucking good it is. And that's the only thing that I wish, is that I knew nothing about this. But even watching it, like, obviously from watching it for the first time, you realise like how much you've really already seen certain bits yet, like the bit with the twins in the hallway, the all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. How many times have you seen that in TV programmes, but maybe just slightly twisted with the words? The first I think is Bart Simpson and the Simpsons doing his lines on the board. That was written on that. Obviously, you've got the Here's Johnny scene in that. So like, there's so much stuff that I've already seen for it that kind of like it does put like a bit of dampener on it because I was really enjoying it. And then you know what I mean, you're coming across. It's more so the Here's Johnny bit because you've seen that so many times without seeing the film. I've probably seen that about 200 times, that scene, but I just didn't know the context it was in. But no, like I did really enjoy it. It absolutely flew in. As I say, like I was a bit surprised when Kelsey 2.5 hours long there, because when I checked the timer on it, because I was trying to time it around my day and all that when I was watching it, it was definitely only 2 hours that we watched, so I've no idea what the version is that we've watched, but it absolutely flew in. Jack Nicholson, as has already been said, was absolutely brilliant. He did when like the camera was like certain points in the film where he's just staring and he's just motionless, and the camera's kind of zooming in on him, and it's got that music in the background that is really creepy, but it just looks like a photo. Like, he's just no moving at all. There's no expression. It's just pure blank. I love that. I actually didn't like his wife. Like, I didn't particularly, not the character, but I thought the actress was a bit wooden, if I'm honest. I don't know what you think of that.
I'm not a big fan of it at all. So like, this is why I kept making jokes at the start saying everybody's favourite, just because she's difficult to take to, because I feel like Jack Nicholson nails the performance so well. Danny nails the performance so well. She's just that little bit too much in some bits, but it doesn't take away from the movie.
I didn't really like her, that like the actress, in terms of like, I sound like such a prick here, the performance that she gave. I just found that, because as I said, obviously they're like the dad and son were absolutely brilliant, and I don't know, I just kind of feel like she wasn't at that level. Says the guy who works for an energy company, sitting Monday to Friday sitting on his couch. But I would definitely go back and watch it again, and there's probably so much stuff that I've missed. As Daniel's already said about the furniture changing in different scenes, like obviously no son I've picked up on. I doubt anybody would on their first watch anyway, but I think I've kind of won a watch with Horror Week. Obviously I don't like horror films, but two films that for me weren't really scary at all. The kind of the scariest part, and like again I watched this during the day as well, the scariest part was the bit where he was doing the red rum and he's writing obviously murder backwards on the door in the bedroom. It's more creepy and stuff like that. I found the old woman who was the young woman he was kissing for the bathtub, that really repulsed me. Like the way that they've done her body and stuff like that, like all kind of scabby and rotting and like a corpse. That was kind of like, as I said, I was eating a burger there. Laurie's came in for work and she got a McDonald's. So I was sitting eating a burger and then Kel started talking about it, and I could just taste like a pork taste in my mouth.
Oh,
So it was vile. I was just thinking back to that. It was just bogging. But no, like I did really enjoy it. It's totally not what I thought it would be like. I didn't really know what I thought it would be like because I knew, and I don't know how I knew, but I knew it wasn't like an out and out horror kind of scare the shit out of you type film. I knew it was going to be more of a kind of slow burner and kind of thriller, creepy film. So I didn't really know kind of what to expect when I was kind of going into it, but no, like I did really enjoy it. But again, it's, as I've said before, and it was the same with Shawshank Redemption. It'll be the same with other films as well. I just wish that people hadn't tell me to watch it and watch it. It's brilliant. It's amazing because it for me it just never ever reaches what I'm expecting of it. That's probably my own fault, but it really annoys me with like stuff like that. Like it's the same with like what's a TV program that everybody's watched? Right, Breaking Bad. Obviously, I watched that as it was going anyway. But like, if I said, and I've been guilty of that so many times, probably more like obviously to Kyle, watch it. It's amazing. It's the best thing you'll ever watch. But like, it's just already setting up for that person. It's never going to reach the expectations of that person. So that is my only kind of negative, and it's not even the film's fault. It's more just probably my own fault.
And that's how I feel about True Romance. It's been built up to me. It's been amazing. I've never seen it, so
I still bet that you'll love it.
We'll see. We'll see.
I think I'd score it as high as what I would at the start since we've watched all these movies. So I don't think I will score it that high.
It's never going to win a vote anyway. So
I watched True Romance when lockdown first started. I decided this was way before we were doing all this, and that was the first time I watched Goodfellas. It was actually in the FIFA chat. I don't know if you remember, but I said I'm going to watch Goodfellas a day for the first time, and was talking about it a bit in there. And then I watched True Romance the next day, and again, Dubs was like heavy, like brilliant, amazing masterpiece and all that. It's the same kind of story with that. Like I was like, it never got there for me because I'm just expecting too much. I maybe just need to stop listening to people, or maybe just stop talking to people.
If you, I think we should just dial back a little bit and let's not tell people about the different chats that we've got, because we come across as the gimpiest, geekiest people in the world ever. So when you start throwing in things like FIFA chats, people are going to start judging us a lot more.
Who cares, man?
Especially with 4 out of 5 is.
At one point, I started a puzzles chat. Remember puzzles?
Dubs has left the chat.
Dubs leaves all my chats that I start.
Well, if you think back though, guys, the movie chat was originally a book chat.
Oh, aye.
Well, and think about how difficult it is for me to get you guys to watch a film, never mind read a book.
Fucking 2 films a week's a stretch for me. If it was a book chat, I wouldn't have lasted 3 seconds. I'd have just like
best to listen to The Shining audiobook as well as watch the movie this week, but I never got through it in time.
I've got the book at the side of my bed, and I took it out of the drawer and stuck it at the bed just so I'd read it, and I've genuinely never looked at it. So it's probably been put back now. I don't even know. I forgot all about it. Sorry, Hunter. We were digressing a little bit into our geeky
That's
chats.
fine. Yes.
About the 30 odd chats that were in with the same 8 people.
Aye, just different variations, different numbers. That's it.
Do you know what? To talk about it for a second, it is quite funny. See, when I describe to people that we've got different chats depending on a subject, they're like, why don't you all just chat in the same chat? I was like, because see, if people are not interested in that subject, you get your arse kicked in the chat for it.
Oh, you get to take it to same subject chat.
UFC chat is basically just me and Sean with like maybe a message a month to Hunter. Like, me and Sean really just message each other, but we always go to the UFC chat.
I was chuckling. You're doing a different chat as well, which annoys me. I'm like, go and just start. I have no interest in UFC. Get lost.
Me, Buns, and Dave have got a golf chat.
So have I.
Listen, me, Daniel, and Hunter, and Dave have got a chat about comic books and comic book movies and comic book shows.
Dave doesn't even fucking read comic books.
Oh, he reads all.
He's into it now.
But I left. I did a look through all the group chats. I was like, I'm going to leave all the ones I don't really care about and I don't participate in. But see, amount of times I've messaged you is like things about, like, I've found a chat that's got the least amount of people in it, but used to in it or used free in it, and I flung it in there to talk, and then I'm like, oh god, I'm going to get flung out of here. I should just come back. Anyway, Hunter, let's get your thoughts on The Shining.
Kind of need to just sort of echo what's been said. This for me is genius. I know I've kind of mentioned it before. I'm not big on my horrors, but it's so weird. You see, like we did Back to the Future last week. For me, like late 70s, early 80s films and genres other than horror, I don't buy into. But I think between this sort of the early Halloween's, Nightmare on Elm Street, like I think they were just ahead of their time in the curve, and the fact that they've been tried to be copied or mastered since, and nothing has ever quite hit those heights since. And I think this was probably the golden age of horror films for me, from the small batch that I've watched and liked. Obviously, as we've touched on, Jack Nicholson is crazy, and it's crazy good. Sorry, he does descent into crazy, but that's what I mean. And his descent is so well portrayed and acted, and he's genius throughout. I mean, we touched on it already, but they mentioned not even has this been sort of copied, but this whole film is just so iconic. I mean, it's in pop culture and so many ways. I mean, you talk about the opening scene. Was that not this clip that was? Remember that scary car thing that was on like? It was on like folks' phone videos years ago. Where, like, used to get this scary woman popped up. I mean, that, and then you've even got Bumsy sending in gifts, Jack Nicholson freezing in the snow at the end. Spoiler alert. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, obviously, like, and then obviously Sean touched on The Simpsons. I think there was actually, I don't know if it's one of the horror ones, but it's like no TV and beer make Homer go something. It was like they're looking after this hotel. I mean, it's been done so much. I think that's, if anything, it's a plus point for the film, because when it's something been copied, obviously they say imitation is the best form of flattery, and that's why it's been done so well. I mean, even touching on the scenes on this, you see that the whole at the start. So once you've got past the car scene, and then once wee Danny he's speaking with little Tony, and he's like, God, he's got to phone in and see he's got the job, and it just starts flashing forward to scenes that are still to come in the film. So you start seeing the blood pushing out the elevator. And then you just see the get, like, I mean, you get it for flash checking just the last scenes at the end of the corridor, and that's it. And then as these scenes get closer, you maybe see them again, but it's maybe a wee bit longer, you get to see it. And I think, I mean, you look at the other shite that we've watched this week, and it's trying to do that. We've had them cut scenes like with the mermaid lying, like it's like it's taken away from the subject to give you like a 1 second, like, try to show you like the mermaid cervix or whatever it was, or inside whatever Robert Pattinson thought he was penetrating in his mind. It took, I mean, that added nothing to it, but to this, those little cutaway scenes and those little flash scenes, I think added so much more, and the suspense, and you're like, well, what the fuck was that? What? Knowing with hindsight, it added, to me, it worked a lot better for this than it did with that. And it just, as you said, Kyle, too, the music is, something's coming, and you're like, what is it? It just builds so well, and it's not even though I think it's probably been copied and pasted so many times, you think it's just like it is what we would call standard horror music. But I think because this was ahead of the curve at the time, that's why it works so well on this. It fits in more with the type of film, and obviously the year it was obviously set and recorded, and I think that's why that adds to it. And even then, as you said, Daniel, there's a lot of stuff to it. There's a lot of clever stuff that I've not noticed. I think this is only my second time watching it, so the stuff I've not noticed, I will go back and watch again. But even at the end, when you're like, so he's alive in the present day, he was alive until he froze in the ice. But that final scene where you've got that guy through the 1920s fucking 4th of July, and it's like, is that him? Does that get you thinking? As you're saying, the fact that it's then been conspiracy theory, then there's probably fucking Reddit threads as long as the day is long, like going on about different aspects of this film. I think that's why it is.
So what's your guys' initial thoughts on that 1921 picture? Without going in, if you know what Stephen King said about it, hold fire, but what's your initial thoughts?
There's absolutely no surprise that I had no idea what the ending was meant to mean, so I was hoping that one of you would tell me.
I was just going to say, I don't think what Stephen King thinks matters here, because it's nothing to do with the book.
You could just like interpret.
I'm sorry, because I've just read this, so it might have been Stanley Kubrick that said it. Let me find it.
Yeah, I think you're the same as me. I think I read not what Stephen King said, the actual director said.
Which was Burnsy?
Can't mind.
That was a quote word for word from Stanley Kubrick.
That's what he actually said. He's like, I can't remember what the ending was meant to symbolise.
Stanley Kubrick said the ballroom photograph at the very end suggests the reincarnation of Jack.
Oh, that was it.
Suggest. Stanley Kubrick very up for it being open to.
He's left it really ambiguous because one of the theories about it is each individual in that photograph is someone that Jack's killed. It's one of the theories, which wasn't denied by Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick hasn't denied any theories. He loves it. There's so many different ideas about it.
Yeah, that way though.
Also inspires a lot of conspiracy theories. Like that Stanley Kubrick. So Sean will like this. That Stanley Kubrick apparently directed the fake moon landing, and he leaves clues to it in this movie, particularly when Danny, when he's cycling about on his tricycle, has got the spaceship when he's jumper, and folk have managed to take that and jump to it being about him doing something to do with the moon landing. So I thought, as this week's little spin-off chat, what's everyone's favourite conspiracy theories?
Ooh. My favourite one is the... What?
I knew you would come in first.
My favourite one is the... Oh, fuck, what's his name? Oh, my mind's been completely blank. The Beatle.
Oh, John Lennon?
No.
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney's dead. That's one of my favourite ones. And he was replaced. And nobody's noticed. Apart from the conspiracy theorists.
Remember they had that about the Ultimate Warrior and the wrestling as well?
Yeah.
There's loads like that where like somebody's like... Eminem's got one as well. But it's just...
Avril Lavigne, that was a big one.
People get older.
And the Tupac as well, like all the number 7 related to his death, like this is all prove that he was alive.
I did see a really interesting one the other day about Elvis Presley, and there's some guy who's locked up in a mental institution in America just now who says he's Elvis Presley, and apparently they've done a DNA test and it came back as a match for Elvis Presley. So they're basically saying that this guy is a loony, just called himself Elvis Presley, but the people are saying he's actually sane because he's Elvis Presley and he's been locked up.
What a load of nonsense, eh? What a load of nonsense. I like...
I believe it.
No, you don't. What age would Elvis Presley be now? 100 or something?
I don't know.
Well, I'll Google.
I go far off it. Late 80s,
See if you
90s
Google
anyway.
Elvis Presley mental institution, there's a picture of the guy. He's an old man, obviously. But I just find conspiracy theories pure interesting. Well, whether you believe them or not is different. I like them.
Well, I'm going to jump in with mine at the moment because I just watched this. I watched a movie yesterday, and the favourite conspiracy theory that I like to look into is 9/11. So I watched Zero Dark 30 yesterday, and I also watched. Bear with me. Why can't I remember what it is? The Boston bombing, the where Mark Wahlberg in it.
Patriots Day.
Patriots Day. Watched Patriots Day. So I watched these two movies back to back. So obviously, Zero Dark 30 is all about capturing Obama, and then in Patriots Day, Obama. Yeah, well, why not? Catch him instead. Catching Bin Laden. OBL, as they call him in the movie, because I'm cool like that. But in the Patriots Day, the two Boston bombers have basically kidnapped a Chinese fella where they're stealing his car and taking him away. But they have the conversation with him around about 9/11 and tell him how it's a conspiracy. And I've watched hours upon hours of things on YouTube just because I find it really, really interesting.
There's far too much stuff on 9/11 for me to even invest my time in. It's just you could spend days and there's just so much stuff. Like there's so many different theories about. Is it Tower 7 or something like that? There's just so much fucking stuff.
Is that the tower that's not spoke about? But
is it number 5 or something? Was it
like so far away from the other ones as well?
It was on fire, and then they magically managed to do a controlled
And of
demolition
course,
on it
the Stone
in
Cold
the space of
classic.
2 hours.
Jet fuel
Daniel's
doesn't
chuckling
melt
away at
steel.
us.
Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
I love that. No, I find it funny. I just wanted to clarify my stance on these. I think they're all absolute bullshit, but I do have some favourites. Find them interesting, but complete nonsense. But I like the completely over the top ones. Like there's literally now thousands and thousands and thousands of people that think pigeons aren't real. Like there's a conspiracy that pigeons are like robots that are listening to you.
I mean,
Have you seen the one about Australia not being real? Loads of American Australia doesn't exist.
Because the flat earthers is how can it be round there if it's a flat?
What about the Princess Diana's death? Because the Queen clearly murdered her.
Oh, that's up there, aye.
Crusade, car crash.
I mean, you think even all the scaremongering conspiracy theories that came out at the start of COVID and everything too, like
about 5G and that, how it was
fucking 5G.
that was the problem. That was how people were getting their immune system was going bad.
Microchips in your vaccine, the and the whole the trying to control us. We're going to be a cashless society and everything. This is all the world. It was planted. The virus was planted, so that started like fuck off, mate.
That's something I can't buy it. Like, actually, there's a boy who I was quite good pals with, and he's on my Twitter, and he keeps see on Twitter sometimes if somebody you follow likes something and it'll pop up, and he keeps liking stuff about COVID, and I'm like, it's just fucking utter nonsense. That's one thing I'll never ever buy into. But
it's disappointing. See when someone is into it, it's like, oh, I feel like I've lost one. And do you know what's quite funny?
Yep.
Me and Sean, about 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, were in a car driving home for SSE talking about 9/11 conspiracies, right? So, do you mind this, Sean?
Oh, that was a few times, so I don't know which one you're going to talk about here.
One in particular, anyway. And I remember saying that how popular conspiracies were going to be, or getting, was going to like fuck up the world soon. And I think this is where we are now. Like, see the whole COVID thing, like there's just everyone's now outwardly, there's no such thing as the fucking truth, and they're not even a bit. Conspiracy used to be a wee bit of fun. I mean, you can make a documentary and you go, oh, maybe there was 2 Titanics. I watched that one once, it was stupid. But like, it should be a bit of fun, but now folk are actually applying it to their lives, man. It's scary. Anyway, back to movies, eh?
So a good segue back in there. I think we're going to have to come to Hunter for some trivia, unless anybody wants to talk more about The Shining.
Trivia is it?
Trivia is.
Trivia after Hunter.
Yeah, so Daniel, you might have more. So firstly, to get Nicholson in the correct agitated state whilst recording, he was only fed cheese sandwiches for 2 weeks, which he apparently hates.
That's my ideal diet. I love
a wee cheese piece.
That's my lunch every day when I would go to work. Still my lunch every day when I'm working for him.
As he was from England, Stanley Kubrick did not understand the reference "Here's Johnny," which was from The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. So that scene was potentially meant to be cut from the film when you think of how iconic that is, and it never even made the final. Almost didn't make the final cut. So Stephen King tried to talk Kubrick out of hiring Jack Nicholson. His original candidates were John Voight or Michael Moriarty.
Yeah, see, the character in the book is very different. See, in the movie, you can tell that he's pretty unhinged for the start. Whereas in the book, he's a very sympathetic character. He's made a few mistakes, like the thing where he hurt Danny's arm. That's the same, but he also gets into a fight and loses his job, and like he's really desperate to be a screenwriter. And there's a lot of focus on him trying to like write this play. Whereas in this movie, you just know that Jack's trying to write something and he's fucking mental. There's no that much focus on it. But Jack Nicholson would probably not be able to play the type of character that he was in the book. But I don't think Kubrick gave a fuck.
So young Danny actually grew up to be a professor of biology at a college in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. So there's some positive news to take away. And lastly, it's obviously the room was 237. The words "do not disturb" have 2 letters, 3 letters, and then 7 letters. I think that is a wee. Somebody's thought outside the box for that one.
Or it was just pure coincidence.
And a grand total of 2 deaths is my final one.
Well, Daniel, you said you've got a little bit more to add to this.
I just because I always read things about this film. So like I said, the interesting thing about like the movie and the stuff about apparently Stanley Kubrick was an absolute cunt to Shelley Duvall the whole way through this film. Like treated her like absolute shit, to the point that like there was a thing being made about it that she was like really unhappy and all this sort of stuff, and it was so that he wanted her to be miserable and like come across like fucking dejected and all that sort of stuff. And there was also a thing, Stanley Kubrick apparently like reads loads and loads and loads of books, and there was an interview with him, and it was he decides just books at random, so he just picks random books. And apparently, the receptionist told the story about how The Shining came about, was that he would read the first 3 or 4 pages of a book. If he didn't like it, just chuck it out the door for days. And then she said for the first time it went for about half an hour without anything happening. Hell, you're so noisy with that chair, man.
I didn't hear a word.
I heard was Kyle squeaking about his room.
Do you want to tell you what I was doing? I was picking up a dog shit, so you can excuse me for that one.
You could have put yourself on mute.
To be honest, I wanted you to get the shit out of the room. To be honest, I didn't really.
Kyle, where did you put it? Because you never really looked like you left the room.
I did. I went downstairs and out the back and put it into the bin.
Oh,
I'm knackered.
I never saw him leaving the room either.
Me neither.
It's in my pocket.
It's literally somewhere in that room still, isn't it?
I can assure you it's not.
Right, show us the room. He's a sweep.
I've even cleaned it with the carpet stain remover thing that I've got.
Maurice is to explain to the listeners at home that he's now giving us a tour of the room, and there's the shite there.
There's a big pile of shit in the corner. Listen, after we're finished recording this, I need to get my rug doctor on because we have to clean the carpets.
Well,
anyway, sorry, Daniel. Back to
when we eventually get one, that would have been a good segue into a carpet cleaner sponsor. That's what we need. Like, get on.
Do you know what it is? We need to get on to these sponsors. We're on 1,000 downloads now, guys. We surely are getting the big time. I'm expecting.
I know. Rug doctor, if you're listening.
Blue texting. To throw a little bit to I see myself, because I did have a look to see what else Danny had starred in. And the next film that it says that he was in was Dr. Sleep out in 2019, which I had no idea was the years following the events of The Shining.
It's a sequel to the book.
I did not know this. And now adult Dan Torrance must protect a young girl with similar powers from a cult known as the True Knot, who prey on children with powers to remain immortal. So I'm gonna watch that.
It's what's his name? Ewan McGregor is in it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't mind that now. Aye.
Good. I've got the book to do that. Once I've finished The Shining, I'm going to listen to Dr. Sleep.
Well, I'm going to put it on the watch list for me because Danny makes a cameo appearance in it as well.
I'm hoping it might come up for now, because we've got a habit now that we can start putting sequels on. We're at that stage now. So we did it with Back to the Future 2. We could maybe do it with that on here.
Well, thank you for the trivia on there. Let's get some scores on this. Let's start off with yourself, Daniel.
This is a Stone Cold 5. One of the best movies ever made. Love it.
And I'm just going to do ×2 to that and make it a 5 also. Sean?
Try to think of what films I've gave a 5 to before. I gave Moneyball a 5. I can't give this a 5 because it's been put on a pedestal. I'm going to give it a 4.75.
4.75 from Sean. Hunter?
Paul, 4.75 for me too. It deserves more than a 4.5, but not quite 5-star.
Not quite. Burnsy?
I'm bringing it down, so I'm only going to give it a 4.
Scumbag.
See, if I'd seen this without knowing anything about it, I would have got a 5. But see, because just wee clips and bits and it's amazing, it's never going to live up.
That is the thing. In pop culture, everybody's seen a good half hour's worth of this movie already. Even just it's just out there, isn't it? You see it used so much, it's been copied so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Bonds, what does that bring us to for this movie?
Overall, that's a 4.7.
A 4.7, which takes this movie to second on
Holy
our
fuck.
leading board. This dislodges Parasite, which is a 4.65. Goodfellas just beating it on 4.79.
Wow. Bonzi, you're forced to stop this being the new #1 movie.
I'm quite glad. I was
happy
before
with
it
that.
came
I
on, I was
prefer
going to give it a
Goodfellas.
3.75, and then after hearing the comments, actually, there was a few things that I missed from my original review, so it boosted it up a wee bit, but it's definitely not the #1.
No, I
I
think
think above Parasite either.
Goodfellas is. I'm happy still with that in the top.
What a contrast in movies this week, guys. 111th for The Lighthouse and number 2 on our leaderboard for The Shining.
But let's hope that'll show some people that we do actually like some stuff out there, because we get accused of, oh, you guys just shit on everything. No, we don't.
Do you know what it is? And these people interact and they comment and tell us how upset they are, right? But see if they're really upset, please go and listen. And thanks to those that have listened to this to understand the thoughts behind why we give the scores what we give them. But speaking of giving scores to shit films, Sean, what movies have you picked for next week?
The Back to the Future 2, and I can't even remember the name of the film, but it's about a chef.
Boiling Point, was it?
Boiling Point, aye, Boiling Point. It's about a night service in a restaurant, so I don't know how that's going to play out as a film, but we'll see.
I was very surprised that you picked that, Sean, because I feel like that's the type of thing that I would pick. I'm really excited to watch Stephen Graham, isn't it?
Yeah,
I like Stephen Graham, and it kind of intrigues me as to how they're going to. I just can't imagine it being a film. It just sounds, I don't know, so I just kind of want to watch it. And I think it's one that Laurie will watch with me too. She doesn't really watch much of the stuff that we watch. Like when I told her we were watching Lighthouse, she looked at the screen for 30 seconds and then just walked out the room. Never really said anything when I was watching it.
Lucky her.
I don't know, we could have all had that privilege.
It was quite funny because I said to Sarah about sitting down to watch it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a horror movie with William Dafoe and Rob Pattinson, just the two of them, so it should be really good for character building." And then I said the words, "It's in black and white," and then we didn't watch it. Happy days. So Back to the Future 2, unfortunately, and Boiling Point, which I'm really, really intrigued by. Let's get the wheel spun to see what we're going to get for next week for the movie swap. So it'd be good to have some movies that are actually going to come up on there. We can get some talking to in Instagram.
Bunzy.
Which we're not going to get because Bunzy's going to pick his specific 2 movies that he wants to watch. So, yeah. Bunzy, any initial thoughts, any movies you've been thinking of that you would like to have?
There's a couple, but I'll keep it to myself for just now and mull it over.
Oh, the suspense.
One, I think you'll just hate me for picking it, and one, I think you'll be quite intrigued about the way my thought is at the moment.
I think I know what one of your films is going to be.
What's that?
Goal, because it's recently just came onto Amazon.
No,
or
it was
something.
that, no.
I was going to pick Goal.
What a film. What a film.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, that does bring us to the end of the recording tonight. Like we said, The Lighthouse, 111th on our list. And a new number 2 has now hit us with The Shining. Sean's picks for next week, and then we're going to have Burnsy's for the week after that. It's weird how it's just shooting through our names for picking it. Hopefully it's me next, and then we can get some Mega Shark versus Crocodiles.
And your leave is getting lodged in.
Cannot wait to fucking shaft you with that. Guys, that's all from us tonight. Thank you very, very much for listening. Please pop over to our Instagram, interact with the Instagram page. You'll get to speak to Daniel directly, as I've literally muted you all, so it's all about Daniel. But again, thank you very much, and I bid you morons farewell.
See ya.
Sorry you don't speak speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.